Hey everybody, welcome to essentially day one of your journey into Unreal Engine blueprints, C++, essentially learning how to program or script in the Unreal Engine. If you've taken my programming classes in the past and where we were using Unity, you're going to notice a lot of the concepts are the same. It might feel a little different when we talk about headers versus CPP files and all that good stuff. Before we can build our next masterpiece or master game, we need the right tools. So let's forget about the old way of doing things for a moment, and I'm going to show you sort of the pro method that I use. What we're going to use is Unreal Engine 5 and JetBrains Rider. You'll see a lot of tutorials out there, and you'll see a lot of other people use Visual Studio. I am madly in love with Rider, which pretty huge news, at least for me. It's now completely free for non-commercial use. So let's go and take a look at how we could start off by installing Unreal. So as I said, first things first, we need the Unreal Engine. So let's head over to unrealengine.com and download the Epic Game Launcher. And the way you do that is up in the right-hand corner here, you'll see this blue download button. Go ahead and click on it. And that'll take you to this download page. You can read about the installation process here, or you could just go ahead and download it into your desktop. Notice I already have it installed, but we'll run through the basics of the process anyway. Next, locate where you installed the launcher and run it. We're just going to jump right into the Unreal Editor because the installation process is pretty straightforward. Go ahead and click the Library tab at the top here. Now, I have the latest version installed, but I'm going to show you how to, essentially add a version anyway. So click the plus sign here next to Engine Versions. Here you can see because I have the latest version, it brought us 5.6. If I click the little drop down here, I'd like to show you guys how to install options, but because I don't have it, it's not giving it this. So once you get your Unreal version, go ahead and click on the options button. And then you're going to see there's these different options. I generally turn on debugging as well as the top three options here. I don't really use MetaHuman. I design my own characters. You can install it, but I think for this particular course you don't need it, and it might just add a lot of extra bloat to your computer. Go ahead and hit apply. And when you'll see a little install button there, go ahead and click on it. You can see that's what it looks like here. And once you do that, just let it go through the installation process. Next, we're going to jump into installing Rider, our editor. All right, so let's navigate over to the JetBrains website by going to the link at the top of this page. Next, locate the download button to take you to the download page. And it's up to you if you want to accept these cookies or not. You can close out by clicking the X in the corner. And then go ahead and click on the download button in the center of the page. And I generally just throw mine on the desktop. I don't really keep the installers. Make sure to delete them later so you don't have a bunch of extra files on your computer. All right, locate your installer and double click it. All right, once your installer opens, go ahead and click next. And again, it's going to ask you, versions and all that good stuff. I usually just click next onto the next scene or next screen rather. And it's just asking where you'd like to save it. I usually leave the default. Now on this particular screen, I usually install the core components by clicking them on at the bottom here. And the reason for that is I like to use Rider for really anything that's C++ or C# related. And then if you want a desktop icon, they give you that option here. Go ahead and click next. And then really you can just click the install and run through the installation process. And I'm going to pause the video and let it just kind of go to finish here. Okay, go ahead and click finish, and if you want to run it, toggle box to check on. All right, go ahead and click finish to complete the process. All right, here we are. So now we have to install Visual Studio Installer. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, didn't he just say that we're not going to be using Visual Studio, we're going to be using Rider? This is 100% true, but there are certain components like the desktop development C++, the Unreal installer, and all that other stuff that we need to install and in order to get it to work with Rider. So until Rider packs these in, which I don't know if they have some sort of situation with Microsoft where they can't, we have to sort of go through this route as well. But I promise you we're almost done. I know it seems like we're installing a ton of software. So go to the web address that you see at the top of this page, and then I want you to locate the Visual Studio Community installer here. Do not use Professional or Enterprise, even though they say free trial. You have to pay for them, and it's usually not that long of a free trial if you ask me. So go ahead and click on free download for community, and it'll prompt you to install it, or to download rather your installer, and go ahead and hit save. All right, navigate to your Visual Studio setup, wherever that executable is, and double click it. All right, with our installer now open, let's scroll down. And what we're looking for is a couple of things, right? Now, I tend to turn on game development with C++. I think that's a good. And I'll also turn on desktop development with C++ in case we want to do a build. These additional ones aren't necessary, but they're good to have. The mobile one, as well as WinUI application development. But the core ones we're going to need are desktop development with C++ and game development with C++. Now in the installation detail here, this all looks pretty good to me. You want to just though make sure that you have the Windows 11 SDK installed. And let's see if we can scroll up. And under game development with C++, let's expand this. Let's scroll down. And what I like to have on is Unreal Engine installer. And just to, even though we've downloaded it already, it's checked just so that we don't need the full Visual Studio app. It's just really we need the build tools. So I usually keep that on just to, make sure that those are in there. And that looks pretty good. Let's go to individual components here. I'm going to type in X64. And what I want to make sure is that I have the MSVC build tools, and that's the latest version. Go ahead and hit install. It says install while downloading. This is slower, but I'm just going to go ahead and install, let it go ahead and install everything out. Now the thing to take note of is this could take some time. So if you drink coffee, grab a cup of coffee, put on a good movie. Now that we have everything installed, let's go ahead and locate our Epic Games launcher and double click it. With our editor now open, go up to the Library tab. Notice that I currently have an engine version installed, the one that we talked about earlier, 5.7.4. Let's go ahead and launch this to create our first project. You can do that by clicking here, or up in the right-hand corner, you can click the Launch Unreal Engine and then the version number there. This will open our Unreal Engine project setup window. In the left-hand corner, click on the New Project button. For this class, we're going to start off by learning blueprints, but we're going to do this within a C++ project. So in the right-hand corner, make sure that you select Games, then Third Person, and in the third tab, go down and select C++. Now you can name your project really anything you want. I generally make a project with multiple games, so I call it Games. But for this particular one, we'll just call it Learn Unreal. And go ahead and click the Create button. Similar to when we set up Visual Studio, this can take quite a bit of time. So don't be concerned if you notice long wait times as it compiles, builds, and creates your project. All right, with Unreal now open, let's go ahead and set up Writer as our primary IDE for programming. So go to Edit, go down to Editor Preferences here. And with this open, we're going to be looking for the general section here. And I want you to look for source code. And they're all in alphabetical order. Click on that. And then where it says source code editor, you might have Visual Studio. I have a bunch of stuff on my computer installed. I'm just going to select Writer. And I'm going to close that out. Now the test is we want to go ahead and create a C++ class to make sure that all of that is working. So under C++ here, I'm going to right click, create a new C++ class. And for now, we'll just go with an actor. And I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And you'll see here that it's going to put it in source learning Unreal. That's this folder here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit create class. And we'll leave it as my actor for now. Later we'll have like my platform or BP underscore platform if it's a blueprint, things like that. All right. Something else I like to do is I tend to have students disable live coding for now because it tends to give them issues. So go to Edit and then go down to Editor Preferences here. Go to live coding. And then I want you to uncheck Enable live coding. I'm going to show you a different way of building your project. So let's go ahead and close this out. Let's go to Learning Unreal. And And then let's double click my actor. And that will start to load up Rider. And there's one last step I want to do before we end this video. So inside of Trust and Open, you're going to say Trust and Open here. It's just asking you if you made a conscious effort, you know this application, it's not some sort of virus. And oh, looks like I have multiple copies open, so let's go ahead and close that out. I'll exit that. Now the way we're going to build our project is we're going to be using a lot of build essentially commands right out of Rider. So we can right click in here where we have our engine and we can go to build solution. And there's also one last thing we need to install on Unreal before we leave, and that's Rider Link. So let's jump back over to Unreal. All right, so let's go to edit here and then go down to plugins and then type in Rider. And then you want to make sure you have Rider integration on. If you type in Rider Link in an older browser, it'll be there. And if mine seems to be on already, just make sure yours is. Check it out, and then you'll have to restart Unreal. And I think that's it. I hope we got your setup went smoothly, and let me know if it didn't.